Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, February 10th, about 9 in the morning as I film this. And in this video, we're going to be discussing Q's latest drops. We have 6 of them from yesterday, February 9th. I'm going to read them for you, and then we'll discuss. So we're going to begin with post 2676. And it says here, optics are important. Stealth bomber silent. Reread Mueller regarding design 2 drops. Probe conclusion coming, minus 30. Coincidence that the conclusion is occurring as new Attorney General installed. What is the purpose of Whitaker? Reread drops regarding Scaramucci model. Purpose, who did Scaramucci remove? Effective, optics important. Whitaker's post-installed blockade removal. D-Class, RR, Rod Rosenstein, complete removal. OIG, Office of the Inspector General, release of findings. How are they preparing to combat? Narrative equals vital. House into launch of more fake investigations in attempt to retain false narrative and claim political attacks if investigated or prosecuted themselves. AS, Adam Schiff. SDNY-AG, Southern District of New York Attorney General. Attempts to retain blockade. Attempts to prevent public release of the truth. 0 leaks regarding Huber. 0. Do not mistake public silence for inaction. This is not another 4-year election Q. All right, so in this particular drop, up at the top, coincidence conclusion occurring as new Attorney General installed. Quite a coincidence. William Barr going to be confirmed as new Attorney General very soon. But of course, we still have Matthew Whitaker in there right now. And then Q asking us, what is the purpose of Whitaker? Reread drops regarding Scaramucci model. Purpose, who did Scaramucci remove? Effective, optics important. So let's answer those questions. The Scaramucci model is essentially when a temp comes in and removes or gets rid of whoever or whatever they need to, that temp leaves, and then a new person comes in and fills that position with a clean slate within the Trump administration. And the reason they call it the Scaramucci model is because, remember, that's exactly what Scaramucci did in the middle of 2017. Anthony Scaramucci came in as the communications director for the White House for a whole, 10 days? But within those 10 days, he removed 2 people, Sean Spicer and Reince Priebus. Many suspect Reince Priebus to be one of those leakers, one of those moles that were embedded within that close circle of the Trump administration. So Scaramucci's purpose was to come in, be that temp for a whole week and a half, fire the moles, fire the people, the bad actors they needed out of there, and then Scaramucci leaves, giving an opportunity, an open position for somebody to come in and fill it with a clean slate. In Scaramucci's case, it was General John Kelly who came in afterwards as the communications director for the White House with a clean slate because Scaramucci got those people out of there. And the reason why this is effective and it helps the optics are important. The reason it helps the optics is because that gives the mainstream media, the deep state, less ammunition to attack with their psychological warfare. That individual comes in with a clean slate, they don't have to fire or get rid of anybody, so the mainstream media can't attack them for it. They can't make it political. In regards to Matthew Whitaker's case, what's the purpose of Whitaker? His job is to get rid of that fake Russia investigation. He is the temp that's doing that. As acting Attorney General, he has authority over that Russia investigation. So he's going to get rid of that, and then Whitaker is going to be out of there. They're going to confirm that new Attorney General, William Barr, and he's going to have a clean slate. Optics are important, so that's what all of that means. What occurs post-installed blockade removal? That blockade is the Russia investigation. What occurs after that? Declassification? Very good news. Rod Rosenstein complete removal? Another thing that can happen. OIG, Office of the Inspector General, release of findings. Wow, so it sounds like a lot of things are going to be coming up after we finally get that Russia investigation over and done with. How are they preparing to combat? Narrative is vital. The House Intelligence Committee is going to be launching a bunch of fake investigations, all so they can claim political motivation if they get investigated or prosecuted themselves. This is also why you see everybody and their mother running for president these days, throwing their bid in for the 2020 election. So many people are. Why? So if they were investigated or prosecuted themselves, they can claim it's politically motivated. All right? It's not going to work. Nothing will prevent the truth from coming public. Attempts to retain blockade, attempts to prevent public release of the truth, 0 leaks regarding Huber, 0. very good news. Everything we've heard from Huber by way of both Q and in the mainstream media has been very planned and purposeful. No accidental leaks, no leaks. Do not mistake public silence for inaction. Just because Q has only posted a couple of times over the last month, month and a half, that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Stuff definitely is. And as we see in this next drop here, 2677, and Anon says, welcome back. Q says, we never left. Of course they haven't. It's time to return publicly. Publicly. What does that mean? Many are speculating. I myself am as well. Does publicly mean Q is going to get confirmed in the mainstream? Does publicly mean we're going to be seeing a lot more Q confirmations that they're going to have to answer for? Mainstream media, shills, detractors out there going to have to answer for. They can't answer, of course. I'm interested to see what it's time to return publicly comes to mean. Moving on to drop 2678, we're talking mainstream media hit pieces and Russia, Russia, Russia. It's always the Russians. And Q linking an NBC article that came out about a week ago. I actually featured this one in my video from the 5th. It says, Russian troll accounts purged by Twitter pushed QAnon and other conspiracy theories. This one was written by Ben Collins. Ben Collins is the go-to guy for NBC to try to discredit QAnon and discredit conspiracy theories. And they're just saying Russia, 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 beating that dead horse. Fake news attacks continue. Ask yourself, why? Why do the fake news attacks continue both in the mainstream media and especially what I'm personally seeing and many others are the past few days, week or so, is the shills, the like underground shills that are there on YouTube and Twitter and whatnot, just causing a ruckus. The controlled opposition in the conspiracy realm, they're getting activated as well. So the fake news, mainstream and alternative, is getting activated everywhere. Why? Because Q is legit. They're trying to silence people who talk about Q, like myself and many others out there. What happens when the news no longer reports facts? What happens when the news no longer reports truth? They're an enemy of the people. Anybody lying to you is not your friend, correct? Mainstream media is lying to us. Many in the alternative media, controlled opposition plants, if they're lying to us, they're not our friends. And that needs to be known. We have to call out the shills. It's not dividing to do that. In fact, it's unifying because you're calling out the folks who are doing the division, right? Don't be scared to put names on blast that need to be put on blast, right? So there's that. Moving on to the next drop. This one titled Mission Countdown by the makers of QMap.pub here. Q linking us a NASA.gov website, and this is Countdown 101, the NASA website is. And this is essentially the parameters of how NASA counts down to their space shuttle launches. Now, as much as I want to get off into all of the space program information that I love talking about, that's not necessarily the point of Q linking this. This is essentially an analogy to how the plan is operating, Q's plan. Because in here, you can see, very important point, for the space shuttle countdown, built-in holds vary in length and always occur at the following times. Built-in holds. So just because, say, T-minus 27 hours and holding, that doesn't mean there's 27 hours left. That means at the 27-hour mark, they're going to hold it for a little while, however long they need to get that particular operation done. Then the countdown can proceed. As you can see here, for instance, when it comes to the space shuttles, or when it came to the space shuttles, because of course the space shuttle program has been nixed. But when they launch at 27 hours, this is the first built-in hold and typically lasts 4 hours. So they're saying T-minus 27 hours, but they're going to hold it there for a little while to get what they need to done. If we look at the plan, what Q is doing in terms of how they hold the countdown, that's what's happening here. Say if Q goes dark for a little while, doesn't post for 10, 20, 30 days. We've seen many of these dark times in the past where Q doesn't post for a little while. Does that mean nothing's happening? No, the countdown is being held. There's a lot of stuff I would imagine going on behind the scenes that they need to wrap up before they can start posting again, the next part of the plan proceeds, etc. So a lot of stuff going on, and this plan is huge in scope. So when Q goes dark, don't fret, don't be scared. They're not going away. There's just stuff going on that they can't quite tell us about at the time. Next post, 2680, Q giving us 2 links, one to CNN, one to Breitbart, saying read between the lines, blockade end, good to go. Let's take a look at these links and then we'll talk about what Q gave us in that drop. The first one from CNN is about Whitaker, how Acting Attorney General Whitaker revealed a federal prosecutor still investigating GOP claims of FBI misconduct. This was an article that came out, you can see here, the very first few days of January, about a month and a week ago. And this article was discussing how over a breakfast meeting that Matthew Whitaker had with a former Attorney General, Ed Meese, Matthew Whitaker let it slip that Huber is still doing work. Now, Whitaker didn't give us any details on that in this meeting, or we didn't hear of any details. I would imagine this was one of those purposeful leaks, we could call it. This was very well planned, I would imagine, by Whitaker in this story to be making it public. Right here it says, the source said that Whitaker did not provide Meese any details, but said his work is still ongoing. Wow! Big revelation there. And in this next Breitbart article, Q also linked us, William Barr in 2017, DOJ abdicating its responsibility by ignoring Clinton uranium deal in favor of Russia collusion. So William Barr saying this Russia collusion investigation's ridiculous compared to what we should be investigating in regards to Clinton. What's interesting is that this article also briefly mentions Huber right down here. In his confirmation hearing before Senate Judiciary Committee, Barr was asked about his previous comments regarding uranium-1. Barr went on to say, I have no knowledge of uranium-1. I was trying to make the point that there is a lot out there. I think all that stuff at the time was being looked at by Huber. Wow. So both of them mentioning Huber in publicly released statements that got out to the public. Read between the lines. So once William Barr, like we've been saying, then comes into the Attorney General position, I would imagine we're going to start learning a lot more about Huber. And also one thing that some Anons, some various researchers out there noticed is that when you actually literally read between the lines of this statement, double meanings exist, remember, read between the lines, blockade, end, good to go. Look at the first letters of each of these lines. R, B, G. Read between the lines. Blockade, end, good to go. Does that mean that RBG is one of those blockades? There's a lot of blockades that are trying to be ended right now, Russia investigation being one of them, but RBG, blockade, end, good to go. Does this mean that very soon we're going to get some public announcements of her being removed from the Supreme Court and maybe a proof of life or proof of non-life or whatever the case is? Interesting. We'll see what the next week or two brings us by way of RBG news. So there's that drop, and then the very last one here, 2681. Q gives us some numbers, minus 30, minus 45, minus 60, minus 90. I would imagine that those are the countdown steps when we might get some holds or some big things breaking to us, right? Then says here blockade removal with that Scaramucci model that we described. RR removal, Rod Rosenstein gone, goodbye number 2. Rod Rosenstein, was the #1 oversight of Mueller. Very good news if he's out of there. Or removal, Bruce Orr out of there. 1 through 4 removal. I take that to mean 4 positions, either within the DOJ or the FBI that gets removed as well. Some bad actors there. Barr installed, new AG William Barr. Barr with Whitaker. Reviews Rod Rosenstein notes regarding strong reservations to declass due to sources and methods. Barr plus Whitaker pull declassification review assignment from the OIG. Cite executive order from POTUS that does not require special oversight. Barr executes order to declassify plus provide members of House Committee long requested supplemental documentation in a classified setting. The scope of the memo plus classified information as required by U.S. law. Whitaker is going to remain a Department of Justice senior staff. Barr meeting Huber plus OIG report. So right here we got a lot of dots of what I think Q is letting us know what's going to happen in the future. And I think these are our countdown markers. So minus 30 could be when the blockade is getting removed, that meaning the Russia collusion investigation. So we'll see what what would that be? March 11th, 28 days in February. So March 11th brings us, if I'm correct with that 30 days from now date, that could be the day that Russia investigation gone. Rod Rosenstein could get removed in 45 days. Barr install could be 60 days or 90 days. Maybe 90 days is when the OIG report is coming out. So we can kind of cross-reference a lot of these dots with what could be coming up. And I think this is Q just letting us know that the next 3 months, next 90 days are going to be fun, going to be a good one. So that's all that we have by way of Q's drops for yesterday. I'm excited. Q's saying it's time to return publicly. We'll see what that means. We'll see what the next 90 days brings us. I'll be here reporting on it for you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Done.